Epstein, did you, and I know that's part of the 24-hour news cycle. How do you view Epstein? The list, the people, the names, the Clinton, all these guys, how do you view it?
I view it through a list of probabilities. I think the most probable explanation is that he was killed in prison. Whether he killed himself or whether somebody was hired to kill him or whether he pissed off the wrong person and they killed him because he was an accused sex trafficker for children is kind of irrelevant. I think the probability is he was killed in prison. I don't think that he was in an orchestrated hit by some politician. I don't think that the deep state was involved. I think that if it comes down to whether or not he was an intelligence asset, it is likely that he was on somebody's radar, if not a full-blown paid asset. Very unlikely that he was a paid asset of the FBI or the DEA or any other U.S. entity. So he had incredible access and incredible value that foreigners would be able to exploit far better than we would. And they wouldn't want him dead, right? Because they would always want to hold out hope that he was going to get through the trial, come out the other side, maybe spend a couple years in prison, pay a fine, and be right back in the intelligence collection business.
Wouldn't they be worried that maybe he threatened them because he had all the intel and said, if you guys don't take care of me, I'm going to do this, so let's just take him out because he sounds a little bit too emotional and irrational?
The problem with that is that it's very easy to spin one person's story, and then you can always destroy that person reputationally, financially afterwards. That's very, very easy to do. Look at John Kiriakou. Very easy to destroy somebody without ever killing them. The flip side is he would only have one shot. He'd have one golden arrow, right? I'm going to let this video loose. After that golden arrow is shot, what's he got?
They destroyed him. Nearly $1 million of pension they took away from him that he's never gotten till today. And he did 2 years in 2 years' time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. 23 years, John Kiriakou.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one shot, they would have said, no, he's emotional, he's this, he's that. So why are they releasing Ghislaine Maxwell? Why is she going to a different jail? Why is she out there now? Didn't I see a story, Robert? What's the story about her being released or?
Yeah, that came out yesterday.
Maxwell, lawyer, drops bombshell work release report. This was just released. Go a little bit lower. The lawyer of Jeffrey Epstein has denied claims that she's able to leave her security assignment. The report of Maxwell, who served 20 years in conspiring, so she has been granted work release privileges and defiance of federal rules for sex offenders, was made by Allison Gill, host of Mueller. She wrote political podcast. So they're saying what? They're saying now that's not correct?
That's what her attorney is saying.
That she is not released.
Correct.
But she is willing to now talk. And how close are you following the Epstein? Not that
I don't
closely.
follow it that closely. I don't follow it that closely. And because, again, I'm trying to conserve my resources for what I think really matters. And then second, whatever is on the Epstein files, it's just like JFK. It is not going to be complementary to the U.S. federal government. They're not going to release it. If it's not going to benefit strategically or tactically the current administration, it's not going to get released. And what's interesting is each current administration isn't an individual, it's a party. So it's not just Donald Trump, it's the Republican Party. It's not just Barack Obama, it's the Democratic Party, right? So if whatever the information that's currently classified, once that sees the light of day, you can't put it back in the box. So it's always better to keep it in the box.
Yeah, but so then what that means is, how many people do you think actually know what happened with Epstein? How many people know for a fact who's on that list? How many people are on that list?
Maybe no more than 50, probably closer to 25.
Closer to 25, no. Of those 25 people, how many of them are in a place where maybe something happened to their daughter or to their kids or maybe to them when they were younger where they're like, no, I'm going to make sure the world knows about this? Meaning none of them would want to bring that story out to the public? Really?
Every one of them would have more invested in their political career than they would in aligning this with their family. And here's the thing, man. When you get to the level where you're dealing with scumbags, first you segregate your family out of just survival need. You can't think of all the FBI officers that have to hunt down child pornography. They can't do their day job and live in a world where they think of their kids. So they have to compartmentalize the job from their family life. It's the same way in politics. You have to compartmentalize your job from your family life. And then second to that, they're also thinking about what does this do to the structure, the institution of the American people. If I release it, XYZ happens. If I keep it confidential or classified, ABC happens. And if it's classified now, somebody else can always come back and release it in the future, and then the blood is on their hands when they release this. So it's just easier for me to kick it down the road to focus on something else.
I mean, there has to be an element of selling the dream. There has to be an element of, hey, look, you're on the inside now. You know, guys, we can't release this. You know, this is America. We have to protect it. If they knew, they would lose their mind. You're at a different level. You're no longer part of the masses. That's the masses. You're now on the inside. What's being said for them to flip? It's a very interesting conversation when somebody goes in who views themselves as a statement, then they get the intel. What is that script that's being given to them?
CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people.
So there's a speech that we get when we first join any kind of sworn service. And it's almost always the same topic, even though it has different names. At CIA, the speech was called American Primacy. And the speech was given by this officer at CIA who was 20 years, a 20-year veteran of CIA. And he got up in front of all of us after we had taken our sworn oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And he gave us this 45-minute lecture about American primacy and how America has to be the number one superpower in the world. It has to continue that way. We may disagree with it at times. We may come into contact with information that we think is unjust, but it doesn't matter what happens in the moment, because in the arc of global power competition, the United States needs to remain in the front spot, because if we're not, who is? And when somebody else takes the front spot, what does that do to the American people? The 330 million American people. And do you want to be the person whose principles sacrifices the safety of the 330 million people? We all get that speech.
What? Do you agree with it?
Pragmatically, that's how you do the job. It is what it is. That's part of what you have to do. And if you go against the principles, you're John Kiriakou. If you go against the principles, you're Edward Snowden.
Oh, my God.
You know, it's funny, Pat, because people, and you've seen this, I'm sure, people call me like a CIA plant. They accuse me of still working for CIA. It's way more pragmatic than that, right? I understand why CIA does what they do. I understand what happens if you go counter to what they approve or let you do. So why would you go contrary? Why would you swim against the flow if swimming with the flow gives you more reach, more wealth, more power, more success? Maybe that makes me unprincipled, but pragmatically speaking, it's one road to Rome.
Have they ever called you and told you, hey, listen, relax, you're talking too much?
I get an email every year that reminds me in a templated format that I'm criminally liable for whatever I say and whatever I put on the internet, in print, or in digital interface. So that's their way of letting me know someone is still watching you, someone's still listening to you. I've been up to CIA 3 times in the last 2 years physically to sit with a panel of people who are talking to me about my content and saying, this is on the line, this is safe, this is not safe.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I get those emails, I get phone calls, but then at the same time, I get text messages, I get emails, I get public comments online from people who left CIA and are patting me on the back, saying they support me, saying they agree with me. I know my reputation inside the halls of Langley is kind of 50-50. Some people hate the fact that I'm capitalizing on my background. Some people love the fact that I'm out there accurately representing the difficulties, the commitment, the patriotism of the men and women who still serve.
And those 3 meetings that they had, how long was it? Was it a few-hour meeting? Oh, I figured because they're showing clips.
They don't show clips. It's hilarious. It's hilarious because you can't have your phone, you can't have your computer, you can't have any kind of electric device.
Do they check to make sure you don't have hearing aids? They check your hair, everything?
So when I go in, there's if you go into any kind of heavily secured federal facility, you drive to a gate, and then at the gate you park, and then you pass through a pretty rigorous security checkpoint. So you run your bag through checkpoint, you walk through a metal detector, sometimes you get patted down. They make you sign an affidavit that if you're caught with anything on your person, you're criminally liable for falsifying your report to the security guard, because they're federal officers. They're not like security guards. They're federal uniformed officers. So when you lie to them, you're lying to a federal agency. So you go through these steps before you're ushered to a secure room, and then in the secure room, you have the conversation. And then you go in reverse on the way out. And that's not just for, publishers and authors and influencers. That's also for people who are retiring. Like when you get your high five and your fake Rolex when you retire from a federal agency, you go through the same rigmarole because you're not a uniformed officer anymore. You're a nobody who's just allowed in today to get your pat on the back before you leave.
That's wild. Because I can see if you're going out there talking, doing what you're doing, they're like, hey, what is crossing the line? What crossing the line is giving actual details of a mission you were a part of, right? Is that crossing the line? Specific to missions that you were. Go ahead.
The terminology is sources and methods that you yourself, or sources and methods of active intelligence collection. That's the key word that makes it criminal. Anything other than that, they can pursue you on civil charges for contract violation, et cetera. Yeah. But John Kiriakou was inside that sources and methods space.